Everyone, it's lovely to see you guys. This is another As Miss Polly. I have sessions where I go on tag and people can ask me questions, or if I have some questions throughout the week that I would like to answer, I surely do that. So that is what today is. I also want to say thank you guys for supporting me. Um, I know that I'm not as consistent as a lot of YouTubers when it comes to like exact days on when I'll be live because as I am a mother and I do lots of things. I have a couple different things I'm working on with my own. Trying to work on my own business, trying to work on setting up an online store, all those things, and working all these things. Uh, I can sometimes have to make a choice, and so sometimes it's a little hard. But I'm getting better at being a little bit more consistent this year. So we're still going to be working on that, one day at a time, right? One day at a time. But for now, I definitely want to let you guys get a chance to, get to ask questions, get me to answer them, and then try to be at least once a week consistently. So we're at that point right now. If you guys are new to my channel, thank you for coming and stopping in to see what it's about. Please check out my other videos and like them because it helps us get seen by other people and for us to help others. Okay, so I am going to because this is like I said, I'm gonna work on adding some comments here. I also what I like to do is while I'm Sarah. So today I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a conversation about being first. It's very, very important. I may even do this another time to have some guests upon come up here on stage. But we'll see how it goes today. Actually I don't want to do that. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just gonna send out a link real quick because obviously you guys know I probably forgot. So let me go back on here, just send out a link. But in the meantime, just give it a couple moments, see if anyone comes in. But if you're new to my channel, we talk about relationships and how those relationships can, um, you know, be better. And when those relationships are better, our life is better. So any kind of relationship between friends, family, brother, sister, mother, child, all those things. And so we don't only just focus on things about poly, and that's the thing. And I was thinking to myself earlier too. I said, well, a lot of people who meet me, the first thing they say is like, oh, it's cool, cool or not cool, whatever, it's not for me. But a lot of times I see if they're not interested in poly, or they just think, okay, well, there's no reason to continue to look into her things and blah blah blah, and that's actually not true. I think the point that I would like to put out there is not only does poly give you an option to obviously have more than one love and one more interaction with other people, it also helps you work on the basic skills of a relationship, and that's the whole idea, I should say. The idea of being open and honest about your true emotions and feelings, and not saying that you can't do that in a monogamous relationship, but a lot of times monogamy does not promote the thing that they say good relationships are supposed to be built on. Someone may say, well, what do you mean by that? And what I mean by that is true honesty is not something that is, you know, pushed. And people are like, oh yeah, no. The honesty I'm talking about is if you see a woman or a man or someone who's attracted to you, you can say your partner, hey, they look really attractive to me. Or make a comment like that. And people are like, well, why would they disrespect? It's not really about disrespecting. And they don't have to say it out loud. Yeah, you could feel some kind of way. But once again, a lot of those things that trigger you is a lot of insecurity. If it's not insecurity, people are like, oh, it's not insecurity, I just think it's rude. Then why does it bother you that your partner may have interest in someone else? And things like that. And people don't really think about that. And they're like, well, it should. A lot of things can be broken down to just basic, I just don't want to lose you. I'm worried. I have concerns. And those are a lot of things that people go through throughout life. You worry if you're good enough. You worried if you're going to continue to be pretty enough, or you can continue to be smart enough, are you going to be someone who's going to always be good enough? And this is where our conversation comes back to this, our topic, which is, you know, we here, I don't think it's just Americans, but a lot of people do. It's always about being the best. And we push that a lot in America. So I do say that we push to be the best. And if we're not the best at something, we feel like we're failing. And that's one thing I think there's two sides to that. I think the push for being good at something is really, really important because it's you're working towards the goals. It gives you something to reach for. But there also the bad side of people giving awards to bare minimum also. So it's like I think there's a lot of extremes and people don't realize they're doing it. So you hear a lot of people complaining that, oh, you know what, you're giving people like awards for just participating. A lot of people don't like that because it's like, well, shoot, just showing up, that's just basic skills, which is true. You should be able to participate and show up. Yes, if it was something you didn't do before, if you never participated and then you finally did it, thank you for high fiving me for doing what I can do. So that's a plus. But that's the goal you reach. Your goal was at zero. I mean, you were at zero and your goal was at participation and you did it. High five. But there you have to know that yes, you're congratulated, but we're going to push for more, right? Because if our goal, sometimes goals that are too big, people get stressed about those goals that are too big. So making goals smaller is really a big thing for a lot of people. So I think on both sides, some people don't like to get participation points, high five. And then some people are saying, well, we're not all going to be the best, and which is true. There's always going to be a bigger and badder person. There's always going to be someone better than you. And that is true. That is so true. There's always going to be someone better than you at something. You can be the best at what you are. And everyone's like, oh, LeBron is the best of all time, right? And he is. But one day, there will be someone else. And that's what it is. We're not getting younger and older. There are people coming up behind him. I mean, you can just look. I'm talking about sports because that's what a lot of my partners been looking at recently. Is a lot of sports. So that's what I brought up. But yeah, look, there's people coming behind them that could have potential to be great. And so you have to realize that you can't always be number one. Okay. So, for some reason, whatever. Okay, I already tried. I can't send this link out, and you know what? I'm not gonna keep fighting with the machinery. Not today. So I'm gonna just go back to our comment page. So once again, thank you guys for anyone who's joined. We give us enough time. This is impromptu, so it is what it is. I'm going to also just you guys can listen to me chitter chatter about this topic, and then I'm going to put a little makeup on. I'm going to get myself a little bit more ready for the day because I go to work and I do want to do some more lives. So participation, right? There we go. Okay, back to our subject. Here we go. So I will tell you a little story, and you guys can, and this is pertaining to our topic, which is being number one. So when I was younger and I had, I had friends or whatever, you get to a phase as a girl, and probably gentlemen too, you get this place where, you meet friends and you're like, oh, well, there's my best friend, right? You got that best friend situation, start making best friends. And I remember I would be friends with this one girl, and I was friends with her for a very, very long time. And at least I thought in my mind was a long time. And we were having so much fun. We did everything together. We went to church together. She invited me over all the time. And I, was like, yeah, this is like my best friend. Right? So I was like, happy and everything. And then one day, I consider her my best friend. Now, did we talk about it? No. Did we say anything? No. But then one day I was like, hey, this is, hey, we're chilling and hanging out, and then all of a sudden she tells me about another girl who I know the other girl, it's cool, and she says, yeah, like she's my best friend, and she's like, yeah, we got this and this, and I was like, wait a minute, like I didn't even know y'all hung out like that. Like I felt like really upset at the fact that I consider myself her best friend, but I wasn't. Maybe I was confused, and then like I was confused on why I wasn't a friend to her as I thought I was in her mind. It was very confusing for me. I didn't understand it. It is just one of those things that really kind of bothered me. So I didn't really say anything to her about it when it happened, but I surely did feel some kind of way. So that was the first time I ever felt like, being number one to someone was like maybe not always the option. Now I know people are like, how old were you? I was probably like realistically like 13, 14 when I figured that out, and I was like, damn, I'm not somebody's first option. And that was with a friend. Now, when it came to gentlemen, I mean, I guess that took a lot for me. That's when I kind of knew, like, okay, you know what? I really like her and she's cool and I want to be her friend still. So at this point, I'm thinking to myself, what does this mean? And then I kind of start saying, you know what? She can be my best friend. I don't have to be hers. I know people are like, well, what? That's what I thought. That was my conclusion to fixing that issue was I'm not her best friend, but she can be mine. And that made it okay for me. And I didn't have any emotions about it. I didn't cuss her out. I said, you know what? That's okay. I did get my feelings hurt a little bit and I kept that internalized. But at the end of the day, I was like, oh, she could still be my best friend. And maybe one day she'll change her mind. That was the first time I ever felt like I wasn't the best. And then later on in life, because I have ADHD, if you don't know the symptoms of that, please figure it out. But feeling like I just couldn't, I was good at things. I even said this for a very long time, and this is where I took a lot of quotes from places, was I felt like I was very good at lots of things. Very, very good at lots of things, but I was never great at anything. But I was good. Like I was good at writing poems. I won contests for writing. I played sports. I was good at playing sports. Like that was cool. Like I was good. But when it came to like being great, I never felt great. I never felt like I was doing enough. And then when I didn't meet expectations, oh, that just killed me. I was going to get published as a book, and when they told me, oh, they gave me pressure to write more because they needed more material to make a book, I froze up and I didn't finish it. To this day, I have those poems, and for someone who is like in fourth grade, they were pretty good. So it was like it was a lot for me. So feeling like I wasn't number one was something that has happened to me, made me feel some kind of way. Um, but I learned to say, okay, you know what? And I know people are like, well, how'd you figure it out? I really figured it out like within like 15 minutes. After feeling sad, after feeling some kind of way, I was like, well, I don't have to be her best friend. She can be mine, and that's okay because I enjoy the feeling of being with this person, and they are really special to me. And I don't want to lose that because the definition isn't there for me. Because even though I'm not her best in the words, I felt special. And that was enough. And that's what I'm getting by saying a lot of people are freaked out about being the best or something. I felt like being with her as a friend, enjoying her time, enjoying our moments was good enough. And the only reason, other than her saying, hey, I do a best friend or whatever, was the fact that I was trying to compare myself to someone else that I really had a little contact with. I knew who she was, but I mean, the contact we had was not like we hung out and stuff, like we all went church stuff, but like, did I ever think, oh my gosh, like I was comparing myself, like, why did she like her better than me? Like that was what was going through my head that day. But then I was like, but we cool. Like, I like what we do. As long as we can keep doing this, I don't got no problem. So why am I tripping? And that's how I felt. Like, I took that in and I was good. So emotionally, a lot of time people ask me questions like that. I feel like I really just figured I didn't let my emotions or feelings about titles and things like that take away from the experiences I was having. And I think it's really important for people who are poly and for being monogamous in monogamous relationships, because people always like, well, how do you know if you find someone better or you find someone who looks good or whatever, and you're getting older or whatever. And the answer is, yeah, I'm gonna get older. I'm gonna be changing. But like what we have and what we do and how we enjoy it, is that enough? And that's where you gotta say yes. Now people aren't trained to think that way. They're trained to choose, because being the best is important here in America. So you will choose. You'll have to say, which one's better? Should I do this or that? Who's gonna give me this or that? Like, it's a whole analyzation of a person. And if I just like you, I just want to just like you. I just want to enjoy you. I don't want to have to figure out if you're good enough. And I think that happens to a lot of people. I think a lot of people, I'll be honest, a lot of people, why they say, oh, well, people can't stay in a relationship, do that. One of the top reasons people probably don't stay in a relationship, is my opinion, is because they're always wondering if there's someone else out there that could be better than you, consistent. What? That's all they think about. So they meet someone, they're like, oh, okay, we're out, and I meet someone, and I'm like, could this really be the man I'm with? Because I really am vibing with him. And some people can't really understand their energy. Sometimes they're just new relationship energy. That new energy is never going to be there after it's gone. That new feeling. Because after you get to know someone and all that, it's not there. So when you're telling me you'll get it again with someone else, but you won't get it with the same person, because your relationship transitions into another phase. Which change doesn't always mean bad. Some people are like, oh, well, when we first started dating, we were doing this and that. Okay, that was new energy. I actually hate the new energy phase. It's the worst experience for me as a person, because it's not consistent. Because I know it will change. So I wait. I like to wait until it's over. Like now, as I get older and I date people and I see them going through the phase, it's okay. I let them have the experience, but I can recognize this experience and be like, I don't like it, because I know that's temporary. You're feeling of liking this and that, and it's temporary. My question is, you gonna like this in 6 months? Are you gonna like it when you find out all the things that aren't the best? Because everybody has things in their life that aren't positive. You could have a bad relationship with your grandma, or you don't get to see your brother, or one of your children act out all the time, all kinds of things. So no one's perfect, and so what happens is, are you gonna still be here when I'm sad, happy, man? And you don't see that for a while. So my question is that energy going to be okay in those different situations? So yeah, no, I don't like new energy, new relationship energy. It's cool, but I know it's fake. I don't know if anyone else could experience life like that, but I do. I can actually, like, and I don't know if it's ADHD, I don't know if it's just me in general. I can actually separate myself. Not all the time. When it comes to certain things, I do need a little help to see myself. Everybody does. You can't always see yourself and your fullness because you're biased. But I can actually take a moment and be like, stop and think, what does this look like outside of what it is? I see it. And so if I see that this is like, this not gonna work, I'll be like, yeah, I don't like this. So that's what I do with the new relationship energy. And a lot of times I just don't like it. And my dad's like, why are you doing makeup on here? I don't really care. I just want to throw something on here for today. I'll probably make it great. So yeah, I definitely will say those, who can separate themselves and see themselves, new relationship energy is a no-go for me, because it agitates them. I'll do it, but I don't really want to do it. That counts. Okay. So, okay. So anyway, back to this new. So when everyone's trying to be the best at something, right? And we're all trying to get that place where we're like, I'm the best, and you're trying to be your partner's everything. This is monogamy mostly because you're supposed to do. It can get highly stressful. Um, Trying to always compete. Now I hear the men out here. She's like, nobody's competing. You get married, you get with somebody, and then they go back to being who they weren't in the beginning, right? Yeah, you're right. Because the goal has been met. So that's another thing I like about poly. Um, you hear people say there's nothing wrong with a little friendly competition. I do believe this is true. And I don't care if you think it or not. When there's other partners around, it's like, especially partners who are in different places and they're different. When you see something happen, even if it just inspires you, when you see someone loving your partner, or you see somebody doing certain things, or they're just making good movements, when you see that, it can inspire you. Some people get angered by that, and whatever emotion you feel, a lot of times what it'll do is make you want to compete. So having other partners around actually can make you want to do more than you were going to do. Because now you're in a place where you're like, do they like that better? I know people are like, I don't want to feel like that. Yeah, but see, sometimes those emotions are good. You have those emotions when you go to work. Those are actually daily emotions that a lot of people try to avoid. Okay, the feeling of, am I doing enough, or am I, you know, good enough, is different than seeing someone do something and then recognizing that you're not doing what you need to do. That's two separate things. I want people to recognize that. That's two separate things. Seeing someone and saying, I'm better than them, I'm going to show them, and then acting out is different than seeing someone and you're like, I'm really only giving my C game. I'm not giving my A game. And if you see that, you can make that change. Now, that's just true. That's very, very true. You see someone else and they're, stepping their game up, it's going to make you want to step up your game, regardless of the emotion behind it. Because you could be like, well, that made me mad, so then I want to run out here. I'm going to show them. You're still reacting, and your reaction is still what I said. You're going to try to compete. It could be a good reason to compete, or out of being mad or angry or whatever. You're still competing. And people are like, well, I don't want to compete. And that's the thing. Once again, participation. If you are a person who says, oh, these women out here don't want to participate, and I mean, these women out here ain't trying to compete, or these men ain't here trying to compete for me, and then in the same breath say, you don't want to, when you get with somebody, you only want them, you're kind of saying they don't have to compete either, and you don't want to compete, because the words I'm saying may trigger some people, but if you hear what I'm saying, it still falls true. Really, a little bit of competition for the competition doesn't hurt anybody. You sitting here recognizing that you can do better is not a bad thing. You seeing that you have partners who are losing weight or getting fit or keeping themselves healthy. That doesn't trigger people the same. But being triggered is the point. Now, what the reaction is to the trigger, that is what it is. You could be triggered and get mad and leave. You can get triggered because you just don't want to deal with that. But if you get triggered and inspired, like, you know what, I can take 30 minutes and work out more. I can eat a little better. I am maybe making wrong financial decisions because, look, they're kind of doing the same thing. Or, look, you know what, and maybe I can ask them if they can tell me what they're doing so we could be in a better position. So the competition aspect of being in poly is not necessarily bad. It keeps you a little bit on your toes. I know a lot of people are like, well, you have a lot of male partners. I do. I have tried to introduce women partners too, and I'm talking to a couple right now, and um, I don't feel like I'm competing with her at all. And people are like, well, then you're not talking to her. How do you feel you're competing? Because I'm still talking to her and her husband. So there's some people who get into that's a whole nother topic about dating couples. But I don't feel like I'm competing. I feel like we are complementing each other. And I feel like when you get to know someone and know that they may be opposite of you, that their energy can help you get to a place. Can it be annoying sometimes? Absolutely. And what I mean by that is it's just very positive thoughts. Not everyone has the same mindset. And I've told other people that. Like for myself, this is a good example. I am always running. And what I mean by that is I'm always doing something. Now, can I complete all these things? A lot of time I don't complete all these things. But I will go, 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 go. I'm going to put my hands on something. I'm going to try to do this, try to do that. I'm going to be constantly trying to work. I have a goal, but I maybe have not have the organization to always get me there with ADHD and all this other stuff. So but I'm constantly going. And when if I have other partners in my life, which I have had other partners in my life, who are like, oh, I just like to go work every day and keep the same job. Okay, you have consistency. You have something that is pushing you in the same thing every day. I'm not going to just say, oh, that's really amazing. You may be very annoyed at the fact that I'm hopping from this project, may not finish. That could be agitating to you because you don't understand it. And you're like, I don't, that's dysfunctional for me. But also knowing that you could be inspiring me to try to do better, or I could help you loosen up and be a little bit. The people are like, don't loosen up, no, but I mean, just being a little bit more, a little carefree, or having some more fun. So those are the things we can take from each other. And once again, don't have to be extreme. I think a lot of people are just they go so extreme for everything. Not everything has to be so extreme. Okay, so competing is not a horrible thing. Being number one is not the most important thing. You can tolerate and in monogamy, and I'll point that out too, also because that's really important. So when you're monogamous, the whole purpose is to be someone's everything. And I hear women say this on all kinds of platforms, Clubhouse, and all this. They're like, I gotta be your everything. Like I need to be your, I need it. Whatever you need, I should be able to provide it for you. And if I can't provide it for you, you need to have a conversation with me, and we need to talk about it. But I should be the one doing that for you, right? And I'm gonna be real honest with you. I just don't believe that's true, and I don't think they actually believe that's true. And that's why they're having such a hard time because they're trying to find perfect matches. They're trying to find twin flames. And there's certain people who aren't going to match you like that. You know what I'm saying? So you're looking for a a twin flame. You're trying to look at somebody who's going to give you all this stuff. And there's people who could be a good match for you, but they don't provide. Oh, I was very proud. They don't provide everything for you. And then they'll try. Don't get me wrong. They try, and some people don't. They can't give you everything, but your partner will say, "Yeah, you're everything. You give me everything. Don't worry, I don't need anything else." But truthfully, if you really ask yourself that question, do they provide you with every dynamic, like everything you need? They don't go anywhere else. The answer could be you just don't go out and find anyone else to give that to you that can actually give it to you better and do it in a better way, or even can give you something positive because that's violation of monogamy. And this is what I mean. You can have a poly mindset and be poly. And I'm so happy. I met someone on Clubhouse a few days ago, and he was an inspiration to me. I both try to find his name because he was poly, and then he went to monogamy. He's getting married, and he's like, she's the only thing I need. And the one was like, how do you go back? Aren't you going to be tempted? And he's like, no. And this is true because he found something in a woman who's monogamous, and these are her boundaries. In being with her, her boundaries are you don't have other partners. He said it's worth it to cut off that situation to be with her. See what I'm saying? He said that, and then he made that choice. Him violating that would violate the Not even just the agreement, but the fact that he really wanted to be with this person. And that is a strong connection because he's making choices to be with you when he doesn't have to. I think people underestimate that. You know what I'm saying? So he's making the sacrifice of some things. People are like, we shouldn't have to sacrifice. You don't have to sacrifice something, like I just said. That's if you don't really want to sacrifice too much, that might be an answer for you, possibly. But when he said that, and the lady was talking about it, I was like, he knows that even if he's monogamous and his partner is not going to let him have other partners, he knows his needs. He's okay with her and the needs that she needs. And I don't want to speak for this gentleman. I don't want to do that. But I bet you that she's okay with him having relationships, not sexual relationships, but interactions with other people to some degree. Because if you're monogamous and you say, no, I don't need anyone else, but you have 30 friends, those friends are giving you needs. So they're meeting those needs for you. Does everything have to be sexual? No. And I think that's where people get confused too. So we're going to, there's a lot of topics. And today ADHD, I didn't take a minute today, so sorry for hopping. If you see, I'm in a different level, so I don't want to scare people with some of the content I say because they get stressed out. They get stressed out. So on the plane that I am on now, I see relationships in a different mindset. And sometimes I have to bring it back that I know people aren't ready and they're not in that place. Not everybody's in that place. But I see relationships as their relationships. And when this is where that work wife comes in, that uh I had a I was mentally cheating because mom says you can't do certain things, and it's not even a violation. Having long interactions with other people that could be intimate mentally. I'm sharing things with you. I don't tell people all this deep stuff you hear. So that is an interaction, and people don't think that's a relationship unless it involves sex. Oh, well, you didn't really cheat on me and cheat. But then you'll hear those people who a lot of women know when your man is going to somebody else and talking to them and sharing their problems with someone else. You know why women feel so violated? Because men don't open up like that usually, and when they do, it means they're making a connection, and that connection is deeper than sex. That's the problem. It's not that he's going, oh, we just smoking weed and we sitting up together talking, talking a little too much. And that's what is getting them because that's that connection that they're supposed to have with you. So that will trigger the heck out of you. And so that's why it's really a no-go for men to go out and have these interactions with women. But in the same light, there are men being like, I don't need anything from a woman. But a woman kind of has a different point of view sometimes if you don't when you talk to a different kind of point of view. You can't see out of a woman's eyes. So you don't see what they see. So when you go to a woman, you ask a woman about your woman, or you tell me most cheating starts with that, and then you can turn around. Most cheating, a guy will come to you and tell you why the other lady isn't good or why they having problems. And he might even ask you why. He's not ask you, but he'll be like, "Oh, yeah, she be wow, man, I don't understand." And then you start saying, "Well, you know what? She just don't know, blah blah." If I saw you, you're giving that man advice, even if it's bad advice or biased most of the time because you want to be with them. You're giving them advice. They're asking for your point of view as a woman. What's going on? And see, they don't recognize that. They don't recognize that. And so this is one of those things where you said that mental cheating and all that, and then people they don't want to recognize that level of relationship. So let's go back to that. Sorry, so I went off. So the relationship level that I'm on, I see it as relationship. So when you have those kind of relationships, those are violations. But those are you technically still being poly. Because there are poly relationships that are platonic. I think people don't realize that. There are actually relationships, we call them platonic relationships. You don't know what that means. It basically means you're not having sex with them. You just have a relationship with them. So there are a lot of people who have platonic relationships that oh, my work husband, yeah, that's the old platonic wife. You don't have sex with her now, but in your mind you're attracted to them. Now you're like, oh, I won't have sex with them. No, you won't have sex with them, but that wasn't what I asked. You were attracted to them. Oh, I mean, well, my girl looks better. I heard that already. Okay, there's always going to be someone who looks better than someone else. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, are you attracted to them? And the answer is probably yes. If you really ask yourself and be honest with yourself, which once again is not practiced, full, complete honesty. So when you're fully, complete honest, you're going to say yes. You know what, she is attractive. And if you say that, a woman will lose it and they'll say, yeah, you shouldn't be attractive. Someone being with you does not shut off being a person. I think that is a real issue. And people having just desires to want to interact with people or be around people, it is not something that's strange or should be contained. And I know a lot of married people are going to try to say to me, well, you know, but you got to get to that place. And when you're ready, then, we're going to be together and you don't have to worry about nothing else. And a lot of times, if you really think about what I'm saying, I'm going to point out you may be right to some degree. As in, you may be right to some degree, but the only reason you would be right was because this. With age comes a maturity, especially if you've been with someone. I'll even start at 7. 7, they say you have issues. After 7 years being someone, you haven't really gone nowhere and you have no issues, you feel real concrete with your partner. So you allow them a lot more space. You allow them a lot more space, right? You allow them to do a lot more things you wouldn't really do if it was in your first year or second year of marriage. So the only reason you may be right when you say people have been together for a long time and then I let my husband, well, if you've been married 10 years, you don't think your husband's going anywhere. He's got a routine. He didn't set up shop. He didn't put his money on the house for all this time. He ain't going nowhere financially and all that. No, you're right. He ain't going nowhere. That's really not a good decision. But you also give him room to be available to talk to other people. You give him the space to make those movements. Now, a lot of married people won't try to say that out loud because, once again, that's a violation and it may hurt somebody's feelings. Understood. But you know in your heart what I'm saying is very true. Your attraction to other people, your interaction level and all that doesn't go away. You wanting to do that doesn't go away. So I don't want people to think, you know what, I'm with this person. A lot of people, if you really talk to, I've just talked to a lot of people about relationships and things like that, off here. And they'll say things like, I'm gonna stick with this person because like they show me this and that. And I think it's a good long-term thing I like. They cook, they clean. Those are good values. And they like me a lot and they participate in helping, financially and that. I think this is just where we're gonna go. That is settling voice. I'm not telling you not, but that's a settling voice in a monogamous situation. Because you're settling for whatever, you said, okay, that's good enough. I'm cool. Okay. And a lot of times when they didn't come upon someone else who's different, they'll leave. That's the first thing they do is run off to the next person because you only met that bare minimal needs. But if someone else can show a little bit more, then you disqualified. And once again, if you're not poly, then you got to go. These are those, levels. It's about choosing. So like I said, when I was younger, I think that was another thing that hit me was I felt like I actually really liked the fact that I had that incident happen with the 2 gentlemen. I really liked and I didn't choose because it kind of showed me a lot of things too. I took a lot from that. I took a lot from that experience. That experience hit me with a lot. And probably a couple of years later, everything kind of boom hit me. And I saw a lot more that opened my eyes mentally to a lot of things. But what else I was thinking in my head was like, I felt like I had to choose or I had to find something wrong with 2 people that I didn't see anything wrong with, so I'd have to choose. And if I was always poly, then I still wouldn't have chose. I probably would have. Well, I was young, so I didn't really know. but I would have probably tried to work it out, and that probably would have been my first poly relationship. Just be wrong honest with you. I probably, probably could have worked out something with that. And it was hilarious about it because we were like, oh, a long time ago. Like I still have contact with both of those gentlemen. I still have contact with both of them. One, I have deep love for him in my heart. Very, very special, very um I will say we are very, very different now. And we were different then. I saw that. But I will tell you, he was the first person I met that was a protector, a true protector with no intent. And he set the standard for a lot of other relationships when it came to um feeling really cared for. He set that standard because he did things that to me I was like, oh, I never really saw that, or I never experienced that, and it felt genuine. That is that he set the bar for that genuine feel that I look for in partners. I don't want to pretend to like some of the things you like. He really set that bar that's a requirement. He also set the bar for no tolerance. Because like, when we broke up, he definitely told me like, what, you have to choose, and after you choose, it is what it is, and we're not getting back together. He meant that. But I didn't choose. He chose for me. They chose for me. But he held strong, and we never got back together. I thought we were at one point because like years later now. Mm-mm. And he was a long term relationship kind of gentleman. Um, and he did. That was bad. I was like, what? And then when we weren't together anymore, he did a lot of things to other women. And sometimes I wonder, like, that make him so sad that he acted out. I don't know. I maybe one day we'll ask him. But I definitely have love for him, and I'm not like deeply in contact with him, but I definitely will hit him up every couple of months and say hi. And we used to meet. Have when I was when I was younger, we used to meet like once a year, twice a year, and have lunch and stuff. And um, yeah, just one wonderful person to me. But definitely we're totally different. I His life is interesting indeed, and it gets much success. So that's good. And then the other gentleman, he also I had reached back out to him to just say hi and everything a couple times, and I do talk to him here and there throughout the year too. Um, he actually, because I don't know, I ended up his mother used to watch my son. Uh, we were like I said, we tried to date when I was like younger, 15, 16 ish, and then or we were trying to date whatever, and then um like 2 years later when I had my son, his mom ran a daycare in our home, and she watched my son for years and years. Um, and I would see him then, and um, same thing, you know. Also, same thing. That man said, he said the same thing. Both my boyfriend at the time said, if you break up, we're not talking, whatever. He meant that. They both meant that. They was not playing with me. And no matter how many times I went over and tried to talk to them or try to kiss them, no, they didn't let me do that. I was banned. And I was like, dang. I think that showed me like there's just some things you just can't come back from with gentlemen. And that probably was it. So there were some things I knew that yeah, so they definitely gave me that life lesson. And they meant what they said. They meant what they said. It is what it is. Like I was like, damn, they was serious. Like it hit me. So that was interesting. I definitely will say. But this is what I'm saying. I I never really got into after the whole friend incident and then her saying about her best friend. Like I said, I thought about it differently, so she used to be mine. And then from then on, I actually start. People would ask me questions. I used to change my answers, like, "What's your favorite this? What's your number one?" And I would tell people I don't have one. I like both. I like more one. I would even if I didn't, I would make it up. I don't even tell people now. And they say, "Oh, where's your favorite restaurant?" I say, "I don't really have one because I just don't. I don't like that system where I have to choose who's better than someone." Now, if you ask me which one do I prefer, I'll say, "Okay, I like that one a little better than that one because of this or that." But if you ask me to get rid of something and not have it, I wouldn't do that. No. I feel like if there's a connection or reason I like something, I'm not gonna like not deal with it. I have this, yeah. I can't do it. Some people are like, "You, that's weird," but it's very true. So even now, so yeah, and then when I got older, I had another incident. My friends were like, "Oh, which one of us is your best friend? You gotta pick one." I said no, and I didn't pick one. And I said, "You're my best friend, and then you're my best friend. I have more one best friend." That's how I did it. I've been doing this more than one stuff after like that incident, yeah, forever. I think it's just that's why I said there's some people who are in the natural mind of poly that the processes of being poly are just there. It's not it doesn't take any thought for me to think about something. I'm like, I like you. You're this person. I don't organize myself in like who's best this. I don't do that. And I did that since I was younger, and I just went with me. And then when you get a name for something, you're like, oh, okay, I could do that. But I already have the mindset that I can love more than one person. um and when I ask questions about it, no one can answer these questions. That's where you kind of know. If you ever been to, most of the time people who are poly minded, they have had the incident I'm talking about happen. Like more than one person, they don't, not that they can't make a decision. They don't want to make a decision because there's no reason to. Why do I have to find something wrong with you to be with you? I have to find out like what's wrong with you or what could potentially be wrong with you that can disqualify you so I can talk somewhere else. I that sounds crazy, especially if you really enjoy someone. There is no one perfect. So you trying to figure out who has the worst of something just so you can make a decision. Now to me that's ridiculous. If there's something wrong with them, then get rid of them. It's just that's gonna be something wrong with them. If something you can't deal with someone, get rid of them because of that, based off of only that, not because someone else is better at it. Because that doesn't make sense. Because there's always gonna be someone better. Oh, sorry, that was wow, that was a long service. But there's always gonna be someone better. So it really shouldn't be a battle. That's basically it. So when I say on here, be number one, it's not as important. This ain't even to society. It's like it's on a bigger scale too. Being number one even in your career, yes, that's awesome that you're number one and you push and you're working hard. I'm sorry about that long stuff. But also knowing that, you still can be good at something and it still be valued is important. I think that's what people don't get. But then, like, once again, still is out there. You don't want to be the person who's always doing bare minimum. And you want to get a high five for bare minimum. That's not going to work either. Find your middle. Like you putting in your best and trying your hardest, and yeah, you're not number one. That's okay because your effort, you trying, you putting in all that work, that is important. But you not doing any but bare minimum, then that's no, it should not be applauded. Absolutely not. We're not gonna applaud people who are half-assed. That's stupid. That was one of the things that irritated me. People start dating people and they're like, "Oh, I go to work and I take care of my kids," and I look at them and I'm like, oh, "Yeah, shouldn't you do that anyway?" If you ask yourself, "Would I do this if you was here anyway?" Your answer is yes. That is bare minimum because those are things you would do regardless of anything that you're doing with the other person. Now, if you say, you know what, I went out here and I took on a second job so that I could, provide you with, with an option not to work. Okay, then that's above and beyond. Then that is you participating in extra activities that you are not obligated to do for yourself. High five. That's putting in the work. Is it is it a job where you're making, six figures? No. But are you bringing in extra funds so we can do what we need to do? Oh, yes, you will get applauded for that. And you should be, because you're doing what you need to do to progress. Okay. But just saying you got a job sometimes, or just saying uh, you do, it's not enough. You know, and that goes for women too. Don't take it as a man thing. It's a woman thing too. If you're in the house and you're like, oh, I'm at the house and I'm folding laundry and I'm washing clothes, but if you really think about it, ladies, let's just be honest, because I even do it sometimes. I say, damn, I got behind on laundry, or damn, I gotta go in here and do the deep clean and hit these. If you ain't wiping cabinets down and all that every once a month, like, you're not going above and beyond to do things. Like, if you're like, oh, well, he should be happy because I do all this stuff, I shouldn't have to do nothing else. You're doing bare minimum and you want him to applaud you. Because because if he wasn't there, you would still figure out how to get your hair done, your nails done. If you didn't get that, you could figure out how to get an outfit. You go out to the club, you figure out how to get drinks. You would do. Oh, you would have your stuff on. You would figure it out. So if you're doing bare minimum, which is okay, I wash my clothes, like everyone should just wash their clothes to care of themselves. We're not applauding people. Like, oh, girl, I did my hair, my makeup, and he should be. Why are we praising you for something you would do if he wasn't home? Because you're not scared to pick up none of those makeup utensils when you're trying to go hit the club. So those aren't extra things you're doing. Those are regular things. Now I will give you an exception because I'm just a nice person. I give people lots of options. Probably here it is. But if you're a person who is dressing down all the time, but you've been doing that, he knew that, he was married you like that, and you're putting effort to go be a little bit more feminine, you're getting some of these things done, you're wearing stuff you're not used to wearing, you're working out, trying to get it right. Yes. Now that for you specifically is doing more than you normally do. So that's what's really important, because I don't want people to think, oh, I said that washing clothes bare minimum. If you don't wash clothes on a regular basis, you got a maid doing it, or your kids do the laundry and all that, and then one day you're like, you know what, I want to get this done right, I want to make it organized. If you put in more effort than you normally do, like I just said, if you clean your kitchen, or my kitchen clean, but then you went in that and you clean down, because you clean down cabinets, you wiping the cabinets out once a month, you went in the refrigerator, you did a whole deep clean, a whole thing with some bleach, you didn't went in there. If you doing extra stuff that you normally don't do, because some women already do that, that don't count for them, it don't count for them because they already do that crap. But if you don't normally do that, yes, you need a high five. And that's one thing. But I tell gentlemen that when I first meet, or I used to say that to them a lot, was like, I'm not very domestic, but I work on it. So I tell them, like, so like, if you're expecting stuff, this is what you say on genre, like, if you're expecting meals, you come home and Friday, it's not gonna be there. I don't have time for it. I go to school, do this, blah blah blah. That's a lot for me at that time. Now it's different. See what I'm saying? So if in that moment I decide to go above and beyond what I normally do, like, I'm like, yeah, I don't have time for that, and I made you a meal, that should be special. And it's special because it's outside of the norm for myself. See what I'm saying? So yes, we get that. The only disqualifier for what I'm saying is if your bare minimum is really low, and if it is, then you need to work on getting it up there a little bit better. But there are some people, we have to know that they exist, and let's not ignore them and don't give them hope. Is that if your bare minimum is that you're not doing what you need to do, even for yourself, you may be in depression. Just be honest, you may be in depression. You may not be waking up every day and brushing your teeth, getting dressed. These are bare minimum things that some people are below. It's like, oh, I get up every day and I do that. I'm not going to applaud you. For someone with depression, you need to applaud them. because they did more than they did in the last 3 months. And it's not because it's because of a mental illness. So you have to make adjustments. I know people don't want to hear that. You do have to make adjustments and assessments of who you're dealing with. That's why you should know who you're dealing with and what you're doing. Because those people, you have to do every person individually. No one wants to hear that, but that it is. It is what it is. No one's the same. Maybe similar, maybe go through similar things, but at the end of the day, we're not exactly the same. So you can't be treated all the same. And so what you're going to do is when you see that, you're going to recognize it and, deal with it accordingly. So I didn't want to make this too long. I didn't want to reach out to that. Like I said, I may do this over again because I'm in an ADHD moment with no medicine right now. So it may be sporadic and I do want people to hear the message. So let me bring it up again. So it is to me is a very important topic because we've been trained in America to push for number one for everything, and if you're not number one, you're family, and this would cause people to be in that state of depression, and then instead of being depressed, not depressed, then they start lying, cheating, stealing to even put on a facade so that they can look like they're number one, even if they're not. And pretend to be number one can get you in a lot of trouble also. So it is a bigger story. I'm not organized with it right at this moment, so if you did bear with me, high five. If you followed me, high five. Okay. But I wanted to get this message out, and then I will, like I said, next time I'll have somebody here with me, and it'll be magical, magical, magical. So thank you guys for spending some time with me. I appreciate it. I'll let you guys go. We have hit an hour mark. I'm going to hold you up, and I'm going to have some other lives to do. So check out the lives. And I do want to talk about the TV show Finding Brother Husbands, which is actually getting very, very interesting. So we will do that, and we'll go from there. So let me go ahead and let you guys go. Hit me up on Instagram if you have any questions, concerns, all those great things. I appreciate your comments. Hope you guys will share the content and keep watching. Subscribe to the channel. We'll hear more about relationships. And we'll go from there, guys. I appreciate you. And you have a great, great day.